My son keeps apologizing for what he'll do when he turns 7. He turns 7 tomorrow. My 6-year-old son, Liam, looked me dead in the eye this morning and said, "I'm sorry for what's going to happen, Daddy. I don't want to hurt you, but I won't be able to stop it." His voice was calm, matter of fact, like he was telling me what he wanted for breakfast. Then he went back to coloring his dinosaur picture like nothing happened. That was 8 hours ago. His birthday is tomorrow at 6:23 a.m., the exact minute he was born. My wife, Rebecca, thinks I'm overreacting, that Liam's just being dramatic because he's nervous about turning 7. But she wasn't there 3 months ago when he first started saying it. She wasn't there when he drew that picture. I'm David, and I need to tell you what's been happening to my son. Because tomorrow morning something terrible is going to happen, and I don't know how to stop it. I need you to understand that Liam has always been a normal kid. Sweet, funny, obsessed with dinosaurs and Lego sets. Never had imaginary friends, never talked about past lives or seeing dead people. Just a regular kindergartner who liked chicken nuggets and hated bedtime. The first time he said it was exactly 3 months ago, on a Wednesday morning. I was making his lunch for school when he walked into the kitchen and said, "Daddy, I need to tell you something important." The tone of his voice made me stop what I was doing. He sounded different, older somehow, like he was preparing to deliver bad news he didn't want to share. When I turn 7, something bad is going to happen. I'm going to hurt people. I don't want to, but I won't be able to control it. I'm sorry. Then he picked up his backpack and walked to the car like he'd just told me about a math test. I stood there with a half-made sandwich in my hands, completely frozen. Rebecca came in and asked what was wrong, and when I told her what Liam had said, she laughed. He probably watched something scary at Aunt Linda's house. You know she lets him watch whatever he wants. I wanted to believe that. Wanted to think it was just kid stuff, some creepy video he'd seen online. But something about the way he'd said it, the certainty in his voice, made my stomach turn. That night, I checked his iPad history. Nothing unusual, just dinosaur videos and Minecraft tutorials. I checked his school records, asked his teacher if anything weird had happened. She said Liam was doing great, making friends, participating in class. No behavioral issues whatsoever. I tried to forget about it, pushed it to the back of my mind. Kids say weird things all the time. It didn't mean anything, except Liam said it again the next week. We were driving to soccer practice when he suddenly said from the back seat, "It's in 89 days, Daddy. That's when I turn 7. That's when it happens." My hands tightened on the steering wheel. I asked him what he meant, what was going to happen. He just stared out the window and said, "I don't know exactly, but people are going to get hurt. I'm going to hurt them. I keep seeing it in my dreams." His voice cracked on that last part, like he was trying not to cry. This wasn't a kid repeating something he'd seen on TV. This was genuine fear. I pulled over and turned around to look at him. "Liam, buddy, what dreams? What do you see?" He wouldn't answer, just kept staring out the window with tears running down his face. We sat there for 10 minutes while other parents drove past us, probably thinking we were having a tantrum situation. But Liam wasn't throwing a tantrum. He was terrified. Rebecca scheduled an appointment with a child psychologist, Dr. Nina Patel, who specialized in anxiety disorders in children. We brought Liam in the following week, and she spent an hour talking to him while we waited outside. When she called us back in, her expression was carefully neutral, professional. Liam is experiencing what appears to be anticipatory anxiety about getting older. This is relatively common in children who struggle with change or have perfectionistic tendencies. He's created a narrative in his mind where turning 7 represents something scary, possibly because he's heard adults talk about the terrible 2s or the troublesome 3s, and has internalized that as a pattern. She recommended weekly therapy sessions to address the anxiety and gave us strategies for reframing his thoughts about birthdays and aging. It made sense. It was a logical, scientific explanation. We started the therapy sessions. Liam went every Thursday afternoon, and Dr. Patel said he was making progress, opening up about his fears. She told us he'd explained that he was worried about becoming different when he turned 7, that he wouldn't be himself anymore. Classic childhood anxiety about identity and change. We felt better. We had a plan, except the dreams got worse. Liam started waking up screaming every night, drenched in sweat, crying about blood and fire and people screaming. Rebecca would hold him while I changed his sheets, and he'd sob into her shoulder saying, "I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I don't want to do it." We told Dr. Patel about the nightmares. She adjusted her approach, started using art therapy to help Liam express what he was seeing. That's when he drew the picture. I still have it, hidden in my office drawer where Rebecca won't find it. She thinks I threw it away. Dr. Patel showed it to us after a session, her professional composure slightly shaken. It was a crayon drawing, the kind any 6-year-old might make. Stick figures, a house, trees, a sun in the corner. Except the stick figures were on fire. All of them, maybe 15 or 20 figures, drawn with red and orange flames covering their bodies. And in the center, one figure stood separate from the others, holding what looked like a match. The figure had "me" written above it in Liam's careful printing. Below the picture he'd written, "When I'm 7," in shaky letters. My mouth went dry looking at it. This wasn't anxiety about change. This was something else entirely. Dr. Patel said it was a breakthrough, actually. Liam was externalizing his fears, putting them on paper where they could be examined and processed. The violent imagery was concerning but not unprecedented in children dealing with trauma or extreme anxiety. She asked if there had been any fires in our neighborhood, any news stories Liam might have seen. There hadn't been. Nothing that would explain why a 6-year-old would draw himself burning people alive. We increased the therapy sessions to twice a week. Dr. Patel started using EMDR and other trauma processing techniques, even though Liam hadn't experienced any identifiable trauma. She said sometimes children absorbed ambient stress from their environment, that maybe Rebecca and I were dealing with something we hadn't told Liam about, and he was picking up on it subconsciously. We weren't. Our marriage was fine, our jobs were stable, our families were healthy. There was no hidden stress for Liam to absorb, yet he kept apologizing for something that hadn't happened yet. 2 months before his birthday, Liam stopped sleeping in his own room. He'd wake up every night around 2 a.m. and climb into bed between Rebecca and me, shaking. When I asked him why, he'd say, "I don't want to be alone when it starts. I need to be near you so I can warn you." Warn us about what? About what I'm going to do. His certainty was unshakable. This wasn't a maybe or a what if. To Liam, whatever was going to happen on his 7th birthday was as inevitable as the sun rising. I started documenting everything. Wrote down every time Liam mentioned the birthday, every detail he shared about his dreams, every strange thing he said. The list grew longer each week. "It starts with fire," he'd say while eating breakfast. "I light the first match at 6:23 a.m., exactly when I was born, or during bath time. The people at the party are going to be there. That's when it happens, when everyone is singing." Rebecca thought the documentation was making things worse, that I was reinforcing his anxiety by paying so much attention to it, but I couldn't stop. Something in my gut told me this wasn't just anxiety. A month before his birthday, I took Liam to a pediatric neurologist without telling Rebecca. Dr. Lawrence Kim ran an MRI, EEG, full neurological workup. Everything came back normal. No tumors, no seizure activity, no physical explanation for the dreams or the apocalyptic certainty about his birthday. Dr. Kim suggested a psychiatric consultation, thought maybe Liam was experiencing early-onset psychosis. I took him to Dr. Felix Hartman, a child psychiatrist who specialized in rare disorders. He evaluated Liam for 3 hours, administered tests I'd never heard of, asked questions that seemed to come from left field. His conclusion was unsettling. "Your son doesn't present with any psychiatric disorder I can identify. He's not psychotic, not delusional, not schizophrenic. He genuinely believes something is going to happen on his birthday, but his belief doesn't stem from disordered thinking. It's more like he's remembering something that hasn't happened yet." He paused. "Have you considered that Liam might be experiencing some form of precognition?" I laughed. Actually laughed in a psychiatrist's office. Precognition wasn't real. Kids didn't predict the future, especially not their own violent actions. Dr. Hartman didn't laugh with me. He handed me a card for a researcher at the university, Dr. Evelyn Cross, who studied anomalous childhood experiences. "I know how it sounds," he said carefully, "but your son is exhibiting a very specific pattern that I've seen in case studies. Children who have detailed, consistent premonitions about future events. Most of the time nothing happens, and the child moves past it. But sometimes," he trailed off. I took the card, didn't call the number. Went home and told Rebecca that the psychiatrist said Liam was fine, just going through a phase. She was relieved. I was terrified. 2 weeks before the birthday, Liam started talking about specific people who would be at his party. He named his classmates, kids from soccer, neighbors we'd invited. Then he named 3 people we hadn't invited, people Liam had never met. When I asked how he knew these people would be there, he said, "'Cause they're always there in my dreams. The lady with the red shoes, the man with the beard, and the teenager with the blue backpack, they're there when it happens." I checked our guest list. The only adult woman invited wore red shoes in her Facebook profile picture. My college friend Andrew had grown a beard since I'd last seen him. The teenager was our neighbor's visiting nephew who I'd mentioned to Rebecca but hadn't formally met. Liam shouldn't have known these details, couldn't have known them, unless he was actually seeing something. I called Dr. Cross. She agreed to meet with us immediately, said she'd had a cancellation and could see Liam that afternoon. Her office was in a research building on the university campus, filled with books about consciousness studies and parapsychology. She didn't look like a quack, didn't have crystals or tarot cards scattered around, just a serious woman in her 50s with decades of academic credentials framed on the wall. She talked to Liam for 2 hours while I waited. When she finally brought him out, her expression was grave. "Your son is exhibiting precognitive awareness of a future event. This is extraordinarily rare, but it does occur. In my 30 years of research, I've documented 11 cases of children having verifiable premonitions. Most involved car accidents or natural disasters. 2 involved acts of violence." My blood ran cold. What happened in those 2 cases? She hesitated. In one case, the event occurred as predicted. In the other, the family took extreme preventative measures, and the event was avoided. But the psychological cost to the child was significant. She explained that in the case where the event was avoided, The family had essentially kept the child under constant supervision, canceled the situations the child had predicted, removed them from any scenario where violence could occur. The premonition faded, but the child developed severe PTSD from the constant anxiety and restriction. What about the other case? The one where it happened? Dr. Cross closed her laptop. The child set fire to their family home on their predicted date. 3 people died. She let that sink in. But there were complicating factors. The child had been physically abused, had access to accelerants, was left unsupervised. Your situation is different. Was it, though? I told Rebecca everything that night. Showed her my documentation, played recordings of Liam's predictions, explained about Dr. Cross and the precognition research. She listened to all of it, her face getting paler with each detail. When I finished, she was quiet for a long time. Then she said, "We're canceling the birthday party." I agreed immediately. It was the obvious solution. If Liam's premonition involved a party with specific people present, we'd remove that scenario entirely. No party, no people, no opportunity for whatever violence he was seeing in his dreams. We told Liam the next morning that we were canceling his party due to an outbreak of flu at his school. His reaction was worse than the nightmares. He screamed, cried, begged us not to cancel it. "It doesn't matter," he sobbed. "It's not about the party. The party is when it was supposed to happen. But if you cancel it, it'll just happen somewhere else. I turn 7 at 6:23 a.m. whether there's a party or not." Rebecca held him while he hyperventilated, and I felt utterly helpless. Dr. Cross had warned us about this. She'd said that in cases of genuine precognition, attempting to avoid the event often made it worse, created a self-fulfilling prophecy where the anxiety and prevention measures actually triggered the predicted outcome. We were trapped. Cancel the party, and Liam's anxiety might trigger something else. Have the party, and we'd be deliberately creating the scenario he'd been dreading for 3 months. We compromised. Small family gathering only. My parents, Rebecca's mom, Liam's younger sister Sophia, who was 3. No friends, no neighbors, no one from Liam's dreams. We'd stay home, keep everything controlled and monitored. Dr. Cross agreed to be on call throughout the day. Dr. Patel prescribed mild anti-anxiety medication for Liam, something to keep him calm during the birthday morning. We had a plan. We were prepared, except Liam got worse. 1 week before his birthday, he stopped eating, said his stomach hurt, that he felt sick thinking about what was coming. Rebecca took him to the pediatrician 3 times. Physically, he was fine. Psychologically, he was falling apart. He'd lost 6 pounds, stopped playing with his toys, barely spoke except to apologize. "I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Dad. I love you. I don't want to do this." The apologies were constant, heartbreaking. 5 days before his birthday, I found Liam in the garage looking at the gas cans we used for the lawnmower. He wasn't touching them, just staring. When I asked what he was doing, he said, "Checking if they're here. They're supposed to be here. Everything has to be exactly right for it to happen." I moved every flammable substance in our house to a storage unit that day. Gasoline, lighter fluid, charcoal, even matches and lighters. If Liam's premonition involved fire, I'd remove every possible ignition source. Rebecca thought I was going too far, but she didn't stop me. The house became a fortress of prevention. We installed cameras in every room. Rebecca took leave from work to monitor Liam constantly. I slept in 3-hour shifts, so someone was always watching him. We were exhausted, paranoid, running on pure fear. 3 days before his birthday, my mother called. She'd developed sudden chest pains and needed to go to the emergency room. Rebecca's mom had fallen and sprained her ankle badly. Both of them apologized profusely, said they wouldn't be able to come to Liam's birthday gathering. The timing was suspicious, too convenient, like the universe was arranging pieces on a board. That night, Liam seemed calmer. He ate a little dinner, played with Sophia for a few minutes. Rebecca and I allowed ourselves to hope that maybe the worst was over. Maybe the premonition was fading. We were fools. At 2 a.m., I woke to Liam standing beside my bed. Not crying, not scared, just standing there in the dark, staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Empty, blank. "It's in 2 days, he said in a voice that didn't sound like his. "I just wanted to say goodbye while I'm still me. After tomorrow, I won't be Liam anymore. I'll be the thing that does it." Then he climbed back into his bed and fell asleep instantly, like a switch had been flipped. I didn't sleep for the rest of the night. Called Dr. Cross at 4 a.m., breaking into sobs when she answered. She said she'd come to our house tomorrow, the day before Liam's birthday, and stay with us through the actual birthday. "Whatever happens," she said, "you won't be alone." 2 days. We had 2 days. Yesterday, the day before his birthday, Dr. Cross arrived at 9 a.m. with equipment I didn't recognize. EEG monitors, recording devices, something she called a consciousness field detector. She explained that if Liam was genuinely experiencing precognition, there would be measurable changes in his brain activity and the electromagnetic field around him as he approached the predicted event. She was treating this like a science experiment. I was treating it like the last day of my son's life. Liam was subdued, quiet. He let Dr. Cross attach the monitors without protest, answered her questions in monosyllables. When she asked if he still believed something would happen tomorrow, he nodded. At 6:23 a.m., when I turned 7, that's when I stopped being me and become the thing. Dr. Cross asked what thing. Liam looked at her with those empty eyes. The thing that burns people. The thing that's been waiting inside me since I was born. It wakes up when I turn 7. His matter-of-fact tone was more chilling than any screaming fit. This wasn't anxiety or delusion. Liam genuinely believed he was incubating something monstrous, and tomorrow was its hatching day. Rebecca broke down, had to leave the room. I held Liam while he sat there calmly, letting the machines record whatever was happening in his brain. Dr. Cross reviewed the data throughout the day. She wouldn't tell me what she was seeing, just kept adjusting the equipment and taking notes. Around 4 p.m., she pulled me aside. David, I need you to understand something. Liam's brain activity is showing patterns I've never seen before. He's in a state of constant neurological arousal, like his brain is preparing for something specific. This isn't anxiety. This is anticipation. Of what? I don't know. But whatever Liam believes is going to happen, his entire nervous system is gearing up for it. We tried to have a normal evening, made Liam's favorite dinner, watched a movie, played board games. It felt like a death row inmate's last meal. Liam participated but wasn't really there, just going through motions. At 8 p.m., we put both kids to bed. Sophia fell asleep immediately. Liam lay there with his eyes open, staring at the ceiling. I sat beside his bed like I used to when he was a baby, and he reached for my hand. I love you, Daddy. I'm sorry for what I'm going to do. I tried to stop it, I really tried, but it's stronger than me. Tears rolled down his temples into his hair. I told him nothing was going to happen, that we wouldn't let anything hurt him or anyone else. He smiled sadly. You can't stop it. Nobody can. It's already happening. What do you mean, it's already happening? The change. It started when I told you 3 months ago. Every day since then, I've been becoming less Liam and more the Thing. Tomorrow morning, the Thing will be in charge. I'll just be watching from somewhere inside, screaming. He closed his eyes. I'm tired of fighting it, Daddy. I just want to sleep. He was asleep within minutes, and I watched the monitors Dr. Cross had set up. His brain activity spiked and dropped in patterns that looked almost rhythmic, like breathing, like something was waking up inside him. Dr. Cross, Rebecca, and I took shifts watching Liam through the night. At midnight, Rebecca went to sleep for a few hours. At 3 a.m., Dr. Cross dozed off in her chair. I stayed awake, watching my son breathe, watching the clock tick towards 6:23 a.m. At 5 a.m., Liam's eyes opened. He didn't sit up, didn't move, just stared at the ceiling with those empty eyes. 1 hour and 23 minutes, he whispered. Can you feel it, Daddy? The Thing is waking up. It's so hungry. I asked what it was hungry for. Everything. Everyone. It wants to burn it all down and start over. That's what it was made for. His voice was completely flat, emotionless. Not Liam's voice anymore. I shook Dr. Cross awake, told her Liam was talking. She rushed over with her equipment, started recording everything. Rebecca stumbled in, saw Liam's expression, and started crying. We all stood around his bed like mourners at a funeral, waiting for 6:23 a.m. At 6 a.m., Sophia wandered in, rubbing her eyes. Why is everyone in Liam's room? She climbed onto the bed and snuggled against her brother. Liam didn't respond, just kept staring at the ceiling. The clock ticked. 6:10, 6:15, 6:20. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears. Dr. Cross was murmuring into a recording device. Rebecca was praying. At 6:22, Liam sat up. Sophia giggled, thinking he was playing. He turned to look at each of us, and his eyes were different. Not empty anymore. Burning. 6:23 a.m. Nothing happened. Liam blinked. The burning look faded. He looked around, confused. Did it happen? Did I hurt someone? We all shook our heads, too stunned to speak. Liam's face crumpled. But I felt it. I felt the Thing take over. I felt... He touched his chest. It's gone. The Thing is gone. Dr. Cross checked her equipment, her hands shaking. Whatever was there, whatever was building up in your neural pathways for 3 months, it dissipated at exactly 6:23 a.m., like it was released or exorcised or... She trailed off, staring at her screens. This is impossible. We spent the next hour in stunned silence. Liam ate breakfast, played with Sophia, acted completely normal for the first time in 3 months. The darkness that had been hanging over him was just gone. Rebecca kept touching him like she couldn't believe he was real. I called my parents, told them Liam was okay, that the crisis had passed. I couldn't explain what the crisis had been. By noon, it felt like we'd all woken up from the same nightmare. Dr. Cross packed up her equipment, promised to call us with her analysis once she'd reviewed the data. She looked shaken, like something fundamental about her understanding of consciousness had been challenged. That night, we had a small birthday celebration, just cake and presents. Nothing elaborate. Liam was happy, genuinely happy, laughing at Sophia's silly jokes and thanking us for his gifts. It was over. Whatever had been building inside him was gone. We'd survived. Except 3 days later, I got a call from the police. There had been a fire at the community center downtown. It started at 6:23 a.m. on the morning of Liam's birthday. 15 people were there for an early morning AA meeting. All of them died. The fire inspector said it was arson, that someone had set multiple ignition points using accelerants. The security cameras caught footage of a figure in dark clothes and a mask, but no identification was possible. The only strange thing was that the arsonist seemed to know exactly where everyone in the building would be, which exits would be blocked, which rooms would trap people. Like they'd planned it with intimate knowledge of everyone's movements. Like they'd been dreaming about it for months. I hung up the phone, walked to Liam's room. He was building a Lego castle, humming to himself. I asked him if he remembered anything from his birthday morning. He looked up, confused. Just that I turned 7 and everyone was there watching me. Why? Nothing. Just wondering. He went back to his castle. I walked to my office and pulled out the drawing from Dr. Patel's sessions, looked at the stick figures on fire, the one figure in the center holding a match. When I'd first seen it, I'd assumed the figure labeled me was Liam. But now, looking closer, the figure was taller than the others, adult height, and in the background, nearly invisible in crayon, was a small figure watching from a doorway. That figure had never registered before. I looked closer. It was labeled me, too. 2 MEs. I called Dr. Cross, told her about the fire, told her about the drawing. She was quiet for a long time. Then she said something that made my blood turn to ice. David, what if Liam wasn't predicting what he would do? What if he was predicting what would happen when he turned 7, the event his consciousness was entangled with? What if something else was always going to do this, and Liam was just tuned into it because it was connected to his 7th birthday somehow? She paused. What if by preventing Liam from doing it, we didn't stop it? We just made sure someone else did it instead? The line went dead. I sat there holding the drawing, staring at the 2 figures labeled me. One doing the burning, one watching it happen. Both Liam, both true. That night, I dreamed about the fire, saw the faces of the 15 people who died. When I woke up, Liam was standing beside my bed again. Daddy, he whispered, I keep having this dream. There's a fire, and people are dying, and I'm supposed to be there. I was supposed to stop it, but I didn't. Why didn't I stop it? I pulled him into bed with us, held him while he cried. Rebecca woke up, heard him crying, held both of us. We didn't tell him about the real fire. Didn't tell him that 15 people died at the exact moment he turned 7, in exactly the way he'd been predicting for 3 months. 3 weeks later, they arrested someone for the arson, a man named Gerald Coughlin, 34, who'd been attending the AA meetings. He confessed immediately, said he'd been planning it for months, that he'd started having dreams about burning the building down exactly 3 months earlier, said he didn't know why, didn't have anything against the people there, just knew he had to do it at exactly 6:23 a.m. on that specific date. The prosecution psychiatrist diagnosed him with a psychotic break. Dr. Cross called me when she heard about the arrest. The dreams started at the same time Liam's did. Whatever consciousness event was building, both of them were tuned into it. Liam was just more aware of what he was seeing. So Liam was right. He was seeing the future. He was seeing a future, but not his future. He was seeing Gerald Coughlin's future, and somehow his consciousness got entangled with it. Maybe because they share a birthday. Maybe because Liam has a sensitivity to precognitive information. We don't know. She paused. The important thing is Liam is safe. He didn't do it. He's not dangerous. But 15 people are still dead. Yes, they were always going to die. Liam just knew it was coming. Liam is 8 now. The nightmares stopped after his 7th birthday. He's a normal kid again, happy and well-adjusted. We got him a dog, and he's doing great in school. Rebecca and I are still in therapy, processing what happened. Dr. Patel says we all experienced a shared traumatic delusion, that we convinced ourselves Liam was precognitive when he was actually just anxious. Dr. Cross says we witnessed a genuine case of consciousness entanglement, one of the rarest phenomena in parapsychology. I don't know what to believe. What I do know is that my son spent 3 months apologizing for something he didn't do, but knew was going to happen. He saw 15 people die before it happened and was powerless to stop it. That changes a child, changes a family. Sometimes I catch Liam staring at nothing, and I wonder if he's seeing something else, something that hasn't happened yet. He doesn't talk about it anymore, but I see it in his eyes, the weight of knowing. Rebecca wants to move past it, pretend it never happened, but I can't, because in 6 years, Liam will turn 13. And last week, he started drawing again. Not fire this time, water, lots of water, people drowning, and in the corner of every picture, written in that same careful printing, when I'm 13. I haven't told Rebecca yet, haven't called Dr. Cross, because what would I say? That it's starting again? That my son is tuned into disasters before they happen, and there's nothing we can do to stop them? That he'll spend the next 6 years apologizing for something that isn't his fault, but will definitely happen? I look at Liam now, playing with his dog in the backyard, and I see both versions of him. The happy 8-year-old and the terrified 6-year-old who knew death was coming, who tried to warn us, who carries the weight of precognition like a curse. Gerald Coughlin is in prison. 15 families are grieving, and my son draws pictures of the next disaster, apologizing in advance for something he can't control, won't commit, but absolutely knows is coming. That's our life now. Normal on the surface, horror underneath. Waiting for the next birthday, the next countdown, the next inevitable tragedy my son will see before anyone else. and knowing that no matter what we do, we can't stop what's already been seen. The future is fixed. We're just living in it on delay. If you're still here, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe so you won't miss the next story.